Welcome back, listeners. We're about to take a deep dive into a world where conspiracies are, well, more than just theories. A world where they're basically built into how everything works. We're talking secret societies, hidden knowledge, the whole shebang.
It gets pretty wild.
Oh, yeah. Our guide for this trip is the Illuminatus Trilogy. It's by Robert Shea and Robert Anton Wilson. And I gotta say, this book, it's not exactly a light read.
Definitely not something you just casually pick up, you know?
But hey, no worries. We're not going to spoil the plot or anything like that.
Right.
We're going deeper. Like, what are the big ideas that make this trilogy so, I don't know, so gripping? You know, like the philosophy behind it all, the symbolism, the stuff that makes you question what you think is real. Ready to get a little philosophical?
Absolutely. What really gets me about the Illuminatus trilogy is how it takes this, this common idea, the Illuminati-like, the group secretly running the world, and it blows it wide open.
Yeah, it's not just some, like, a shady group meeting in the dark. It's way bigger than that.
Way bigger.
More cosmic, The book takes their influence back centuries through different cultures, like different points in history. It's as if they've been pulling the strings since, I don't know, forever.
And that's where synchronicity comes in. It's not just that these seemingly random events are connected, it's that they're deliberate, someone planned it. It's kind of unsettling, But it makes you think.
Okay, hold on. Can you give us, like, a solid example from the book, to show how this synchronicity thing actually plays out?
Sure. There's this scene where Hagbard Celine, one of the main characters, he's like this, I don't know, anti-establishment, pirate philosopher kind of guy.
Combo.
Right. He's trying to find this missing scientist, and he ends up in these totally random situations, like a car chase, then he runs into some nuns, then there's this weird message on a billboard. But as the story goes on, you realize all these things, they were planned to lead him to the scientist.
Wow. So it's like someone's, like, playing chess, but with reality itself, moving the pieces to get a specific outcome.
Exactly. And the book suggests that this manipulation, it's not just the Illuminati doing it, it's everywhere, shaping how we see things, affecting our choices, maybe even deciding how history unfolds.
And that's where it gets, I don't know, a little creepy.
Right.
Because if someone or something is pulling strings on that level, how much free will do we actually have?
That's the question, isn't it? And the book really makes you face that possibility that what we call reality might actually be shaped by forces we don't even realize are there.
Which leads us to another big theme, the whole idea of what reality even is. The book is always blurring the lines between what's real and what we think is real. Like, maybe reality is more fluid than we think.
Yeah, the authors use these terms, homo neophilis and homo neophobus. People who love the new, the unknown, and those who are afraid of it cling to what they know. It's like a fundamental split in human nature. And this back and forth, it drives the whole story.
So it's not just about outside forces messing with things. It's also about how our own, our biases and how we react to change shape the reality we experience.
Exactly. And that's what makes the book so powerful. It's not just about conspiracies and secret groups. It's about being human, our relationship with knowledge, with power, and with ourselves.
Okay, so we've talked Illuminati, we've talked reality itself.
Yeah.
But there's also, like, this strong occult vibe in the book.
Oh, absolutely. It's filled with it. Symbolism, you've got the pyramid with the eye, the number 23 popping up everywhere, tarot cards, the I Ching. It's like an encyclopedia of, hidden knowledge.
And it's not just for show. These symbols, they're woven into the story. They hint at deeper meanings and connections.
Right, like the pyramid with the eye. We usually associate that with the Illuminati, right?
Yeah.
But in the book, it represents this complex mix of power, knowledge, and control. It's not just about oppression. It could be good, it could be bad, depending on who's using that power.
So it's like the book saying knowledge itself is neutral. It's all about how we use it, how we interpret it.
Exactly. And that's where the reader comes in.
Oh.
The book wants us to figure out these symbols, to decode them, to find our own meaning.
Like we're supposed to become detectives, right?
Yeah.
Unraveling this mystery alongside the characters.
Exactly. Question everything. Find your own truth. And speaking of unraveling mysteries, we can't forget the humor in all of this.
Oh, the humor. It's crazy. It's satire, dark comedy, and just plain absurdity all mixed up. You'll find yourself laughing, but then you're like, wait, should I be laughing?
It's brilliant. It's not just there for laughs. It's always doing something, whether it's showing how ridiculous a situation is, making fun of those in power, or even making us question what we believe.
It's like humor is a way to disarm us, to get us to open up to these really challenging ideas the book throws at us.
Exactly. And often those ideas are presented through the characters, especially Simon Moon.
Simon Moon, yeah, he's like this counterculture guru, conspiracy theorist, and comedian all rolled into one. He's always dropping these mind-blowing ideas about magic, psychology, and reality itself. But he does it with this playful, irreverent style that makes you want to question everything.
He embodies the book's philosophy, doesn't he? Challenge authority, embrace the absurd, never stop questioning.
He's definitely a character that sticks with you. And he's just one example of all the amazing, crazy personalities in the book.
Each character, in their own way, represents a different perspective on the book's main themes. So you're constantly forced to see different sides of the argument, different ways of looking at things.
Which adds another layer of complexity, right?
Yeah.
There are no easy answers in this book. It's all about nuance, ambiguity, and these constant clashes between opposing forces.
And that's what keeps it relevant, even today. In a world where everything feels so divided, where everyone seems to have their own truth, the Illuminatus Trilogy reminds us that things are complicated. It encourages us to question everything, to see things from different angles.
It's like the book saying, don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. The truth, whatever that is often hidden, and it's our job to find it.
And that search for truth, it's a journey, not a destination.
A journey.
Yeah. It's about constantly asking questions, exploring, changing how we think.
And sometimes, I guess, that journey takes you down some pretty strange and unexpected paths.
Which is exactly where we're headed in this deep dive. We're going to explore some of the most mind-bending concepts from the Illuminatus Trilogy. From what is reality, to the power of symbols, to the role of humor, and how we change and grow as people.
So buckle up. This is going to be a wild ride. We're diving headfirst into conspiracy, chaos, and the search for truth.
And as you're listening, ask yourself, what if everything you thought you knew was wrong? What if reality is just a story we tell ourselves? And who or what is writing that story?
Deep stuff, right? But that's what the Illuminatus Trilogy does. It doesn't just entertain. It makes you think. And sometimes it even changes how you see the world.
And that's why we're so excited to be exploring it with you today. Okay, so we know the Illuminatus Trilogy isn't your average conspiracy story. It's a lot to unpack. A mix of philosophy, satire, you name it. It really makes you think about what's real.
It's like they, the authors, just threw everything in a blender. History, religion, politics. All in a good dose of the psychedelic. And out came this masterpiece.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. But there's a lot going on under the surface of all the craziness. It makes you think about human nature and the things that shape how we see reality.
And one of those things, according to the book, is information control. The Illuminati, in this case, they represent any system, any ideology that tries to control what we believe.
They're the gatekeepers, right? The ones deciding what we think is true.
In the book saying this control isn't always obvious, it's sneaky. It gets into our heads through propaganda, lies, playing on our fears.
Remember the mind-forged manacles we talked about?
Oh yeah, William Blake's idea, that we can be trapped by our own beliefs.
Exactly. The book's saying these manacles are often put on us by those in power. They want us to stay stuck in limited ways of thinking.
So they're building a mental prison, keeping us from seeing the bigger picture.
And the novel is like this call to break free, shatter those manacles, see reality for what it really is.
And that's where Ewan Blumenkraft comes in.
Right. That mysterious phrase, it pops up everywhere in the book, like a secret code. We never really get a definition, but it feels like this primal energy, creativity, power, something for those who dare to think outside the box.
Like a hidden potential inside all of us, waiting to be unlocked.
And that unlocking, it can be messy, chaotic, even dangerous. You have to face your fears, challenge everything you thought you knew, and be open to the unknown, really open.
And Simon Moon, he's like the poster child for that radical open-mindedness.
Totally. Simon's always pushing people to question everything, to defy authority, to see beyond the ordinary.
He represents that part of us that wants more, right?
Okay.
The part that wants to break free and explore hidden parts of reality.
He's like, there's so much more out there. Don't settle for the mundane.
There's that one scene, right? Simon's talking to some students, and he says, the only way to find the limits of what's possible is to go a little past them, into the impossible.
That's it. That's the core message of the book. Push the boundaries. Explore the unknown. And remember, reality might be stranger and more amazing than we can even imagine.
Speaking of strange and amazing, we can't forget how the book explores different states of consciousness. Psychedelic trips, visions. The characters are always pushing the limits of perception, trying to see what's beyond the everyday.
And the book suggests that these altered states, they're not just fantasies, they're pathways to deeper truths, glimpses into how the universe really works.
Like there's so much more to experience if we're just willing to open ourselves to it.
But be careful, there's a risk. There's a line between expanding your mind and completely losing touch with reality.
And that's where the book's exploration of power and control gets really interesting. It's not just about the Illuminati. It's about how humans crave power over each other.
To control, to manipulate, to get what they want.
And it can show up in so many ways. From subtle manipulation to violence and oppression, it's a reminder that we're all capable of both good and evil. Our choices determine which path we take.
It's thought-provoking how the novel portrays morality. Good versus evil isn't always clear. Characters are constantly facing tough choices, compromising their values.
It's never simple. Even the good guys make bad decisions. And even the bad guys, well, sometimes you can see where they're coming from.
It makes you realize the world isn't black and white. Right and wrong isn't always obvious.
That's why it's so important to have your own moral compass, a set of principles to guide you through the messiness of life.
And those principles, they have to come from within, not from someone else, from truly understanding yourself and your place in the world.
Which brings us back to personal transformation, the Illuminatus. Trilogy isn't just about conspiracies and secret groups. It's about finding yourself, breaking free from what's holding you back, and becoming who you're meant to be.
And that journey, it's wild, unpredictable, no guarantees, but it's worth it. Even if it means facing your fears, challenging your beliefs, and diving headfirst into the unknown.
Because in the end, the journey itself is the reward. It's about growing, connecting with your true self, and seeing the endless possibilities that exist.
And maybe even having some fun along the way.
Right. You gotta have some fun with it.
Laughter is key. It helps us let go of rigid beliefs, see how silly we can be, and embrace the weirdness of it all.
The Illuminatus Trilogy makes you laugh, makes you think, and makes you question everything. It's a crazy ride through conspiracy, chaos, and the pursuit of truth.
It doesn't give you all the answers,
Yeah.
but it gives you tools to navigate life with more awareness, agency, and a little humor.
So, as we keep exploring the Illuminatus Trilogy, remember to keep an open mind. Don't take it all too seriously. And be ready to embrace the beautiful chaos of it all.
Because who knows what we'll find along the way.
It's amazing how the Illuminatus Trilogy brings together all these different things: conspiracy theories, occult stuff, political satire, philosophy, and makes it all work.
It's like it's reflecting all of human consciousness, our hopes, fears, everything.
And it does it with this mix of, like, serious thinking and total absurdity. One minute you're deep in thought, the next you're laughing at a joke.
It keeps you on your toes, always challenging your perspective, never lets you get too comfortable.
And that's where the whole power and control thing gets real. It's not just about secret groups pulling strings. It's about how power works in our everyday lives.
Right, like how it shapes what we see, what we choose, and even how history plays out.
The book suggests that power isn't always in your face. You know, it can be subtle. Working through how information's presented, the stories we're told, playing on our fears and desires.
It's about being aware of those subtle things,
Yeah.
questioning the narratives, taking back control in a world that's constantly trying to define us.
Remember that line, "You're in another book"?
Oh yeah, it's like a little reminder, right? That we're all part of a bigger story, a story that's always being written and rewritten.
And we can choose what story we're in, what narrative we align with.
We're not just along for the ride, we create our own reality.
In that creation process, it can get messy.
Totally. It's unpredictable, no guarantees. But it's a journey worth taking, even if it means facing fears, questioning everything, and embracing the unknown.
Because it's all about the journey. It's about growing, connecting with who you truly are, seeing all the possibilities.
And having some fun along the way.
You gotta have some fun.
Humor's important. It helps us detach, realize we don't have to take everything so seriously, embrace the weirdness.
The Illuminatus Trilogy. It makes you laugh, think, and re-examine everything. It's a crazy adventure through conspiracy, chaos, and the search for truth.
And while it doesn't give you all the answers, it gives you tools to navigate life with more awareness, more control, maybe a little more humor.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, think about the ideas we talked about. How do they fit into your life, how you see the world, your own journey?
And if you're intrigued, go check out the Illuminatus Trilogy yourself. It's not an easy read, but it's so rewarding, it sticks with you.
Thanks for joining us on this trip into conspiracy and chaos. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep embracing the weirdness of it all.